Welcome to our series, Leading Voices.
Welcome to our series, Leading Voices, spotlighting the journeys of women across the CX industry, sharing real experiences, lessons, and guidance to inspire the next generation of female CX leaders. I'm Diane Tabernilla, your host for this session. Today, we're thrilled to feature Julie Barton. Jam is a global learning strategist with 16 years of experience across both client and BPO sides of the CX industry. She currently leads global training and communications for global member services at Fabletics, where she focuses on agent empowerment, people-first transformation, and building next-gen customer experiences at scale. Jam, tell us something about yourself.
Hi, Diane. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Well, about myself, I am this little girl in this big corporate world hoping to make a difference. And honestly, this job for me has been really fulfilling because my goal ever since is to, just help everybody. Ever since I was a kid, my goal was like to befriend everybody, help them in any way that I can.
Let's talk about your leadership journey. When did you first see yourself as a leader?
Well, I think the first time I noticed it was in college. Every time we had a group project, I somehow ended up being the one pulling everybody together. I was organizing the work, getting ideas moving. I never really announced it. I just started doing it and people naturally followed. I've always been the one who likes to get things moving, so stepping into that role felt pretty natural. And honestly, being the eldest daughter in an Asian family probably trained me for leadership early. You grow up taking responsibility, whether you like it or not.
Interesting. And you were born a natural leader. So going back to that journey where, like everyone, some roadblocks come their way, what barriers did you encounter early in your career and how did you navigate them?
One of the biggest barriers early on was my age. So I graduated college at 19. I stepped into my first leadership role as a trader at 21. The account I handled was a tech program. So most of the workforce, especially the leaders and all the people I was training were men with many years ahead of me. So imagine this 4-foot girl standing in front of a room teaching them how to do the job. It definitely raised some eyebrows. And I realized pretty quickly that if I wanted credibility, I had to earn it through competence. So I studied everything. I mastered Excel, built my own dashboards. I learned every tool we had. I made sure that when people heard my name, it was always attached to good work. And over time, the conversation shifted from she's so young to she knows what she's doing.
That is amazing. That is something that every leader and every female leader actually would love to hear and love to experience. And I'm sure you've experienced several leaders in your career and lifetime and probably adapted some of their leadership style. How would you describe your leadership style today?
I describe my leadership style as open and collaborative. I believe feedback should go both ways. I give it when it matters, but I also want to hear it. I consider myself as a lifelong learner. Just because I lead the team doesn't mean I know everything. My team sees things that I don't, and I think good leaders create space for that. For me, leadership isn't really about ego or hierarchy. It's about building an environment where everyone feels comfortable, contributing, and getting better together.
And has your leadership style evolved over time?
Early in my career, I was very by the book. I was a stickler. If something didn't follow the process, I had very little patience for it. But over time, I realized leadership isn't about managing performance or hitting the numbers. It's more about understanding the people behind those numbers. I learned to listen more, be more flexible, and I really invested in my team because when people feel supported and understood, the results usually follow naturally.
True. How do you handle some setbacks that come your way without losing that momentum that you have?
One mantra that I've always had in leadership is work now, cry later. It sounds funny, but It really means focus on the work first. I am a big planner, as you know, so when something suddenly shifts priorities or throws off the plan, of course it's frustrating. But I learned early on that if you spend too much time reacting emotionally, nothing gets done. So I compartmentalize, I focus on solving problems, moving things forward, and keeping the momentum for the team. Then, once the job is done, you can reflect, reset, celebrate the win, have some wine, eat some good food.
That is a very good piece of advice. I'm sure a lot of people do the opposite, and trying to do the what you're doing will probably work more effectively. Going back to some of the leaders that you've had, I'm sure you would love to hear some advice in the past. What do you think would be that advice you wish you had received earlier in your career?
I wish someone had told me earlier that I had the right to speak up, especially when I had a point to make. Early in my career, I was often the youngest person in the room and sometimes the only woman, so it could feel intimidating. There were moments when I held back because I didn't want to step on anyone's toes or challenge someone more senior. But over time, I realized that good leaders actually want to hear different perspectives in the room. Now, I encourage people on my team to speak up because great ideas can come from anywhere.
This is very inspiring, especially for young women, young leaders that are listening. I agree, sometimes age becomes a factor, but with your advice, this becomes also a really good inspiration for young leaders. So let's pivot a little bit to AI since it's becoming such a big part of the conversation today. What exciting projects in AI are you currently working on?
Oh, I could go on and on and on, but uh, we started experimenting AI in our team around 2024 before it really became mainstream in corporate learning. So we've had a bit of a head start, I would say. This year, my theme is people first, AI forward. For me, AI isn't about replacing people, it's about making them better at what they do. One project I launched is an AI coach for our agents. So when they go through training, they can ask the AI for examples on how to apply the lesson in real customer scenarios. If they have any concepts that they needed more explanation on, they can ask their AI coach. And the next step we're working on is predictive AI that analyzes performance data and then it recommends the exact training someone needs to improve their lowest KPI. So the goal is not more training, it's smarter and more personalized learning.
And it shortens the learning curve and empowers the agents, giving them that confidence when they step into after nesting or after their training period, right?
Yeah.
And it's continuous learning as well. So, what excites you the most about the next frontier of AI?
Honestly, what excites me isn't what AI can do, but the possibility because the possibilities are endless. I mean, we already have robots doing house chores, which I would personally love because I hate folding clothes. But what I'm really curious is about what humans will do next, how we would adapt, how we stay relevant, and how we use our creativity in a world where machines can do so much. The next frontier isn't just AI evolving, it's about how humans evolve with it.
I agree. So, what advice would you give to women entering AI today?
Great question. So, my advice would be to start using it now and don't wait until you feel like you're an expert. AI is moving so fast that the best way to learn is just by experimenting. And also, don't underestimate the perspective that you bring. Technology needs diverse voices in the room, and because the tools would affect everybody. So speak up, ask questions, and stay curious. Curiosity is probably the most valuable skill in the AI space right now.
Absolutely. Well, Jam, thank you so much for being part of our session. It has been a pleasure chatting with you today, and I am truly honored that we are doing this during Women's Month. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed today's session.